Okay, picture this. You've got that dream, right? Being a truck driver, hitting the open road, maybe being your own boss. But then, reality sinks in. How do you actually start? Do you just become a company driver? Or do you, like, jump straight into being a full owner operator? And there's this other option lots of people talk about. Leasing onto a carrier sounds kind of like a shortcut, maybe, a way to get independence without all the initial stress. But what does that actually mean? That's what we're digging into today. We want to unpack what leasing onto a carrier really involves. We're going to look at the good, the bad, maybe some stuff that's hidden, and help you figure out if it's, the right move for you. We're cutting through the noise here. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. So leasing onto a carrier, basically, the core idea is you become an owner-operator. And that means you're running your own small business, essentially. Now, you might own your truck, or you might be leasing it, maybe from the carrier, maybe from someone else. The key thing is the truck is your business asset, your responsibility, and the relationship. Well, that's where it's unique. You sign a contract, an agreement, with a bigger trucking company. That's the carrier. This contract lets you haul freight using their operating authority, their DOT number, basically. You're also using their insurance, their permits, their systems, their whole setup.
Okay, so you're kind of plugged into their system, but you're still your own boss in a way.
Exactly. It puts you in this sort of in-between space. You're not a company driver getting paid by the hour or mile.
Hmm.
But you're not fully independent either, like someone with their own authority finding all their own freight and handling everything. You get support, which is huge,
Yeah.
but you also take on real business responsibilities. It's a hybrid.
That hybrid idea, that middle ground. Yeah, I can see why that sounds tempting, especially if you're new to trucking. It seems like a bridge. So, what are the real upsides? Why do people choose this route? What makes it look so good on paper?
Well, probably the biggest draw is it feels like a faster and easier start. I mean, starting a whole trucking business from scratch,
Yeah.
that's a lot. It can feel pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
When you lease on, the carrier often already has customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means steady work, usually. They handle the tricky stuff like insurance, permits, making sure you're legal. They've got systems in place. All that really cuts down on the initial stress and the confusion. It gives you structure.
Right, structure you wouldn't have if you were just starting totally alone.
Exactly. And connected to that is the lower upfront cost. Trying to get your own authority, get your own insurance, everything.
Sure.
You're talking thousands of dollars just to get the doors open. Leasing onto a carrier, that brings those initial costs way down. And sometimes the truck itself is part of the deal through these lease purchase programs. You lease the truck, aiming to buy it eventually. That can make it easier to get started, even if maybe your credit isn't perfect.
Okay, so faster start, less money needed right at the beginning. That tackles some huge hurdles. But you mentioned lease purchase. That sounds like it could have its own complications down the line.
Oh, absolutely. Lease purchase deals need very careful review. But sticking to the pros for a second, another big one is predictable pay. Usually you get paid weekly or bi-weekly. That's a huge advantage compared to being fully independent, where you might wait 30, even 60 days sometimes to get paid by brokers or shippers.
Yeah, waiting 2 months for a paycheck, that's tough when you have bills.
It really is.
Sure.
Now, the amount you get paid might be lower per mile than a true independent. That's a potential trade-off we can talk about. But the regularity of the pay is a big plus for many. And then there's the whole less paperwork, more driving aspect. Often the carrier handles finding the loads, the dispatching, billing, invoicing,
Yeah.
a lot of that administrative stuff. Plus permits, safety rules. They manage a lot of that. So theoretically, you spend less time behind a desk and more time actually driving and earning.
Right, focusing on the driving part, which is what most people want to do anyway.
Exactly. And finally, don't forget the perks and discounts. Many carriers offer things like fuel discounts at major truck stops, which saves you real money. They might have maintenance support programs, maybe repair plans. Some even offer training or mentoring for their lease drivers. These things aren't just nice-to-haves. They can directly impact your bottom line and help you learn the ropes faster.
Okay, those are some pretty solid advantages. Easier start, lower cost, regular pay, less paperwork, helpful discounts. It paints a pretty attractive picture. But, like you hinted, there's always another side, isn't there? What are the catches? The downsides people need to be aware of.
Yeah, and this is where you really need to pay attention. The first big one is less freedom than full independence. Even though you're technically an owner-operator, you're still operating under the carrier's rules and their authority. So they might dictate which loads you take, the routes you run, sometimes even where and when you can drive. It's definitely more flexible than being a company driver, sure, but it's not that total freedom dream some people have. There are limits.
So owner-operator sounds independent, but there's still strings attached because you're using their authority.
Precisely. And then a huge one. You pay for your own expenses. This is maybe the biggest shock for people coming from a company driver job. As a lease operator, you're on the hook for fuel, all the truck maintenance, repairs, tires, tolls, taxes, sometimes even things like insurance deductibles or premiums, depending on the contract. And believe me, these costs add up fast. A set of tires can cost thousands. If you don't budget meticulously, you can find yourself owing money instead of making it.
That sounds like a massive responsibility shift. What's the expense that catches people off guard the most, typically?
It's often the unexpected major repair. The transmission goes out or the engine needs work, things that cost 5 figures, potentially. But also, like you mentioned earlier, those little fees can add up. Trailer rental fees, dispatch fees, Qualcomm fees. They nibble away at your earnings. And that ties into the next point. You don't keep every dollar you earn from a load. The carrier takes a cut, right? It's their fee for providing the load, the authority, the support systems. It's usually a percentage of the load revenue.
Yeah.
It's fair in concept. They're providing a service, but it means your actual take-home is less than the gross amount the load paid.
So you're splitting the revenue, essentially.
You are. And that leads to maybe the most critical downside. The financial risk is entirely on you. If your truck breaks down, and it will break down at some point, you're not earning, but you still owe that truck payment, insurance, maybe other bills. If freight slows down and you can't get enough miles, same problem. The income stops, but the expenses don't. This is why having a serious maintenance fund, a financial safety net, is absolutely non-negotiable before you even think about leasing. You need a cushion for those when, not if moments.
Wow, yeah. That's a stark warning. So the risk profile is definitely higher.
Much higher than being a company driver.
Right.
And finally, something we've touched on. Lease contracts can be tricky. Really tricky. Some agreements have hidden fees buried in the fine print. Some have huge balloon payments at the end of the lease term.
A balloon payment? What's that exactly?
It's a large lump sum payment due when the lease ends. So you might have lower monthly payments, but then suddenly owe, say, $10,000 or $20,000 to actually buy the truck or just to walk away clean. It catches a lot of drivers by surprise. Contracts can also lock you in for a long time, maybe 3 or 5 years, with big penalties if you want to leave early. This is why I keep saying, read everything, understand everything, ask questions, maybe even have a lawyer look at it before you sign. It's a major financial commitment, like buying a house almost, but for your livelihood.
Okay, that's a lot to weigh. The potential benefits versus some really significant risks and complexities. So pulling it all together, what does this mean for you, the listener, trying to decide, is leasing onto a carrier a good idea or not?
Well, it really, really depends. There's no single yes or no answer. It can be a fantastic way to learn the business side of trucking. You get exposure to costs, to load management, but with some support. You can often earn more than a company driver, potentially, and it's a clear step towards owning your own truck without taking the full plunge all at once. Think of it like training wheels for being an owner-operator.
Training wheels. I like that analogy.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it comes with real risks. You absolutely have to be good with money, like budgeting down to the penny. You need to be okay with reading and understanding contracts or getting help to do so. And you need to be able to handle stress, because things will go wrong sometimes. Trucks break, loads fall through. So I'd say it's a smart move for people who are really motivated to learn the business, who are organized, detail-oriented, and ready to work hard. It's definitely not a passive way to make money.
That makes sense. It's not just about driving. It's about running a small business under someone else's umbrella. Maybe it helps to quickly compare it side by side with the other main options, just to see where it fits.
Yeah, good idea. So roughly, you've got 3 paths. Path 1, company driver. You have low freedom, basically 0 upfront cost, low responsibility beyond driving safely. Pay stability is usually high, risk is very low. Best for beginners who want steady pay and just learn driving.
Okay, the low-risk, steady option.
Right. Path 2, lease operator, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Medium freedom, low upfront costs compared to full independence. Medium responsibility, you handle truck costs. Pay stability is medium to high, risk is medium. Best for that transition phase, wanting more than a company job but needing support.
The middle ground, the stepping stone.
Exactly. And path 3, owner-operator with your own authority. High freedom, but high upfront costs. High responsibility for everything, finding loads, insurance, compliance. Pay stability can be variable, depends on the market and your skills. Risk is high. Best for experienced drivers with business smarts and a solid financial footing.
Got it. Company, lease, independent, each with its own trade-offs. Okay, so if someone listening is leaning toward that lease operator path, what are the absolute must-do actionable tips? What practical advice can we give them?
Number one, and I'll say it again, read the contract carefully. Understand every single line. Who pays for fuel? Tires, tolls, maintenance. What are the insurance deductibles? Are there balloon payments? What happens if you want to end the lease early? Get it all clear. Ask questions until you are blue in the face.
Don't just skim it, really dissect it.
Absolutely. Number two, budget for repairs and slow weeks. Start a maintenance account immediately and fund it religiously. You need cash set aside for when that truck inevitably needs work or when freight gets slow. Don't rely on just getting by week to week. Build that cushion. Number three, ask about all the extra costs. Beyond the main lease payment, what else are they charging you for? Trailer rental, ELD service, dispatch fees, insurance administration. Get a full picture of all deductions.
No hidden surprises.
Aim for that, yeah. Number four, talk to other drivers. This is huge. Find drivers who are currently leasing or have leased with the specific carrier you're considering. Ask them about their real experience. Online forums, Facebook groups, truck stops talk to people. They'll often give you the unvarnished truth, good and bad.
Get the inside scoop from peers.
You got it. And number five, if possible, start small. See if you can find a shorter-term lease to begin with, maybe a one-year lease instead of jumping into a 3- or 5-year commitment right away. Give yourself a chance to see if this lifestyle and this specific carrier are truly a good fit before you're locked in long-term. It's like a trial run.
That makes a lot of sense. Test the waters first. Okay, so wrapping this up. Leasing onto a carrier, it's definitely not a simple good or bad. It's complicated. It offers a path for new drivers to get owner-operator experience, maybe earn more, without the massive leap of going fully independent right away. But as we've heard, it's loaded with potential risks if you go in unprepared, if you don't understand the contract, or if you can't manage the finances.
That sums it up well. It can be a really solid step forward in a trucking career, a great learning opportunity. But success really hinges on your willingness to learn the business side, manage your money like a hawk, truly understand that contract inside and out, and choose the right carrier partner. Due diligence is key.
And hey, if after hearing all this you're feeling hesitant, that's completely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with starting as a company driver, learning the ropes, saving up money, and then maybe revisiting leasing or even full independence when you feel more ready. It's your career, your timeline.
Exactly. And maybe the final thought here is this. Trucking isn't just driving a truck. It's a business. Leasing gives you a chance to learn that business, maybe with a few guardrails up. But you're still the one steering. So do your homework. Ask all the questions. And seriously, never ever sign anything you don't fully understand. That's probably the most important takeaway.